were taught to stay small for the ones on the edge, ready, risking it all. This is your mirror, this is your crown. Stand closer, we're lifting you now. We rise like sisters, hand in hand. We don't break, we don't bow. We shout our stories, say our names, say 'em loud, say 'em proud. Hey! Lean like chains made of fire. Every note just takes us higher. We rise like sisters. Watch us now. Yeah, yeah. Oh, hey. We rise like sisters. Watch us now.
Good evening and welcome to the Women's Nest. Today is March 15th, and today we're going to do my sober pal and the woman's spirit. And there was one from the other day. First of all, how's everyone doing? Good? Sunday night, got a little St. Patrick's color on. There's been some parades in the Boston area, probably Philly, like all major cities or whatever. So if you went, hope you stayed sober if that's what you do, or you had a good time, you stayed safe, because that's important. So yeah, actually there's one from the 12th that I want to read, and because I think it doesn't necessarily reflect just sobriety, but life in general. This one I did send off to some women in my life who are not necessarily women in recovery, but are women who are struggling with life, balance, trying to find that balance, that peace of mind, right? That elusive peace of mind. Because for me, after reading this particular one, I realize I'm getting there, but it's not where I really want it to be, right? There's much more to be revealed, as they say. So, okay. The subconscious works to create the reality according to the programming it has been fed. So our subconscious mind works to create the reality that we have been programmed to believe. So whether that was, I know growing up for me, it was, the 2.5 kids, the dog, the white picket fence, right? That was the social norm. That's what I was raised. And we joke that I got the one kid, the one dog, and the chain link fence, right? That's my reality. That's not my subconscious mind. That's my reality. But, we may have this illusion to think we need to have 2 new cars, or, once we're done with one car payment, we have to get another car and have a car payment, because that's the illusion that we've been fed, right? We've been programmed to, this is killing me. That's the program that we've been fed to believe should be our reality. And it's not always the case. So the mind is seldom quiet. Even when we don't think we are thinking, we are. Our lives reflect our thoughts. It should be obvious that the way to get a better life is to think better thoughts. If it's that easy, why don't we have more productive, joy-filled lives? I'll share this little story that actually happened last night. So I went somewhere and, got 3 raffle tickets for $1. And I had my tickets inside of my brace, and I was getting ready towards the end to call the numbers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I lost my tickets. And I lose my tickets constantly. They were found, they were under my seat. But I'm like checking pockets, and I checked the floor, but apparently not good enough. So someone said, oh, here's your tickets. And I said, oh, that's good, because I'm going to win. And I won, right? I won a book. Don't worry, it's not like, crazy winnings. I won a book. So, but like very superficial, right? But that's kind of what I see in this point is um, it should be obvious that the way to get a better life is to think better thoughts. So, like, I thought I was going to win, and then I did, right? It's the same if you're going for a job and, you're like, I'm going to get this job. Well, there's two ways to look at it. You can like will it into the universe if that's how you want to see it. Or if you start thinking positive things will happen. That's kind of how it is, right? I can go to my appointment on Thursday and hope that I don't need surgery. And I'm really hoping I don't need surgery, but the chances are I will. But I'm okay with that because the reality is I need it to feel better, um, and not be in this crazy pain and stuff. Um, but then it says, like, if it's that easy, why don't we have more productive, joy filled lives? Because our brains are crazy freaking things. That's why. As youngsters, we learned to interpret the faces and comments of those close to us. They helped us to determine how to evaluate ourselves. Very important. If we received a glut of criticism when we were young, we may think poorly of ourselves as an adult. And I feel like I touched on this with Emma, right? Um, Growing up, I was the chunky one, and I wasn't, but that's how I envisioned it. Another thing that stuck with me, and I like probably a year ago, I finally thought of it. When I was younger, I was always told that I don't have rhythm and I can't dance, and I could dance when I was drinking. Oh yeah, but I started dancing like when I'm not drinking. But that statement carried me through into my adult life. So if you've been told you're ugly, you're this, you're that, you're fat, you're not going to find anyone to make you happy, then that's how you're going to feel. How do you change that mental obsession about yourself as an adult if that's all you've heard? Just as the messages we heard in the past told us who we were, the messages we hear now do likewise. But as adults, we can now decide which messages we accept. Some we should cherish, many we should discard. We have the maturity now to replace them at will. I don't have to accept how anyone defines me today. I can give myself only positive input. My output will reflect it. It's the same, right? If I put junk food into my system, I'm going to feel like crap. My output is going to be crappy. If I don't input good sleep, I'm going to output negative energy. It's that kind of stuff, right? We can put that in any fashion we want. I can put alcohol in my system, and output is going to be a real nasty person, right? And again, not every time, but enough times that do I want to say that it's going to keep for what cause? There's not good that comes from it. Sure, had good times, but nothing good comes from it. If I keep eating McDonald's every day, what's my output? My output's going to be lethargic, high cholesterol, sluggish, all of that stuff, right? Upset belly, you name it. So if I input bad thoughts, output is going to be a negative personality, whatever, however you want to claim that to be. But if I input, I'm a good person, I help other people. I do the best I can on a daily basis, and I fall short all the time. Like every day I fall short. But if I input that stuff, I'm going to output some good stuff too. Birds of a feather flock together, right? If you're ripping and running, they are probably, most of the time they have a great spirit, but their spirit's broken, right? When I'm ripping and running, my spirit's broken. I'm living dirty, right? Um, so I'm going to act dirty, that kind of stuff. Yeah. That was one that I really wanted to. This is one that I got a lot of good response. To experience a feeling is to open a window to our soul. Recovery offers us the opportunity to really know ourselves. It surprises us initially to discover how familiar we are with our feelings and our motivations. Alcohol and other drugs muffled most of what we felt, and thought for much of our lives. Now, meetings and steps are helping us foster an acquaintance with our true self. It's both fun and a little scary because we're scared of the unknown, right? I didn't know. I've shared this before and I'll say it again. My mother, when was like, I don't know, between month 2 and 4, she asked me, she was like, do you like this, Ryan? Because she didn't know, right? Because the true person is revealed and we don't know if we may like that true person. Now I do, so good for us. But you didn't, I didn't know. And I was scared, right? I was scared of my own, like, how do I react to certain situations? I was scared because I didn't know how I was going to react. And as I've gone through this, I enjoy most of the time how I respond to things, how I react to things, the feelings, like, whew, they're all over the place right now. We don't necessarily like every aspect of who we are now, and most of us loathe who we used to be. But having the tools to peel away the layers of denial about the past and having the willingness to face our feelings are paramount to becoming who we'd rather be. What we're getting to, what's deep in our soul, is the person that our higher power knew we were all along. Having the chance to know our soul is a profoundly important gift. Let's gently unwrap it. So I say this often as like, the woman that stands before you today is the most authentic version of myself that I never knew existed. And I love it. Oh, here's a good one. All right. Let's go with these 3. Just the first 3. Self-sabotage. Do that often, right? Especially if you're new to recovery or, feeling your feelings. It's when you're using and abusing, like, chaos is the emotion. I thrive in chaos, and I still do. It's just a different level of chaos, right? Pack the night before. Now it's funny because I'll pack like 2 weeks before, and then I get all anxious and I'm like, oh, did I forget this? Did I forget that? Whatever. And then I'll repack, and then I pack the night before, and right, that's like kind of self-sabotage. So even though it's not as detrimental to my life now, I still self-sabotage things. Like, that's what I do, honestly, right? So I give myself grace when I slip back into stubborn, old, destructive patterns. Old habits are hard to break. But do you know what's harder to break? My determination to stay sober. And if I can stay sober, I can turn a self-sabotage spiral into a self-healing spiral. Oh, Yes. Yes. So I'll put that up on the screen if you want to read that again. All right. Feeling the feels. So many emotions. Sometimes, when things don't go the way I hoped, I throw myself a sad pants party. While there's no booze at this party, there's crying, pillow punching, and super excellent snacks. Sometimes the party lasts an hour, or if I'm feeling generous, a whole day. I almost always feel much better after and can hang my sad pants up until the next party. So, yesterday and some of today, I'm really feeling my feels. So, um, might have been 2 weeks ago now, 2 Sundays ago. Might have been. So, my wrist. I have plates and screws in it. And when I went to urgent care, they said there was nothing wrong. And then, like 2 hours later, they're like, oh, there may be a finding on the x ray, but we can't determine it. So maybe you should go back to the orthopedic surgeon so they can do a comparison to the original x rays that they had done back 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was. And I said, okay. So I got my appointment. It's like 3 weeks out, the appointment. And I never opened the report, but I opened it yesterday. And yeah, the news sucks. The news sucks. Didn't understand half the words that were in there, but Google is a thing. So I Googled them, and best case scenario, worst case scenario, both require surgery. One is kind of like the carpal tunnel surgery that many people go through, which is kind of like flipping, from my understanding. So when I go Thursday, we'll really know. But it's basically like flipping the tendon back into place. And the other is a complete wrist fusion. So I had all kinds of feelings about that yesterday. Fear, right? Sadness, anger, and pissed off at myself. All of them. It felt like that for a couple of hours, and then it went away. And then today, and then I went to a class last night and really aggravated my wrist again. So I came home, I was more pissed off about it. This morning, it was okay. I went swimming today. I taped it up instead of using the splint. And when I came home, it was like all swollen and bruised again. And then I was talking to someone about it, and I'm like, if I get the complete wrist fusion, I probably won't be able to ride my motorcycle again. So I'm mad and angry and mad at myself because I did this to myself. But I'm not going to continue to live in all those four emotions that I'm going through with this particular thing. I'm also not going to talk about that because that's too many other people involved. So I'm not going to talk about that one. So do you have any things that, the crying, pillow punching, super excellent snacks? Do you have any pity parties that you've had lately? I also hear how long are you going to sit in your dirty diaper? Eventually you're going to get a rash, right? So it's okay to kind of hang out in it for a little bit, but don't stay there for too long because worse stuff's going to happen, right? You're going to get a rash, and then you got to buy the diaper cream, right? Just keep going on and on and on. So Um, yeah, but I'm not going to drink over that either. Um, you know, the other side of it is, I'll be super transparent and honest about this. So when I got the original surgery, um, I was working at a place where I didn't need PT because like the job was enough PT, and I don't have it now, but I had pretty much full range of motion in my wrist, and I would take ibuprofen during the day, and then by the end of the workday, like my hand was killing me, my wrist was killing me, so I'd come home and I'd take one of the prescription, I don't know whatever it is, not the high dose shit, but something that is habit forming. And I would take it when I got home from work, and I would fall asleep for a couple hours, right? Um, and it was like day 4 that I realized I was coming home and I was like getting excited to take that nap. And that's when I realized, okay, got to get rid of these. So to say that there's not like that fear as well, because that happened in the past, right? Um, so I'm a little concerned about maybe that, but that's a feeling too. I'm feeling concerned about that. And, I don't want to guarantee anything, but I feel like I'm very aware of what happened last time, that I can be even more aware this time. And I don't want to throw away what I have. I don't want to have to start all over again. So, that's definitely something that's a fear that keeps creeping up a little bit. Like when I think about, going in for surgery and stuff. And you know what? What happens if on Thursday he's like, no, you just need another splint. You got to do this. You got to do that. I don't think that's the case, but it's an option. It's an option. So yeah, there's that one, right? All right. Here. Ooh, this is, ooh, all right. Here's the last one. Putting in the work. Okay. And it's a pug. Woof, this is a lot of pugging work. I rewire my brain and nervous system by putting in the work. Stop on that one. I've done some additional things in my life in the past year or so. Things that have helped rewire my brain, and it needs a lot of rewiring. There's a lot of short circuits in this bad boy. But if you know me, I've done acupuncture, which I'm going again tomorrow, and I've done myofascia. And I also did PT for my back for a little while, and then they were like, stop giving us the money, just join the gym and actually go, which was great because like I still go. And that's another thing I'm pissed off about, is like can't do gym stuff because I'm afraid I'm going to hurt it more. So like I had to learn how to breathe properly. I'm a 43-year-old woman and I had to learn how to breathe properly. Do you know how much of an ego punch in the gut that is? What do you mean I don't know how to breathe right? But I don't know how to breathe right. I was always breathing from up here instead of from my belly. And so I am paying attention to how I breathe. I'm paying attention to how I stand, right? But I think I'm like sticking my chest out, like whatnot, like because I overarch my back. So I'm like trying to do that, and I'm at work and I'm like, Megan, do I look weird? And she's like, no, I feel weird. And that goes back to that whole like the first reading that I had done. Like if you're told that, you stand funny, right? I was always told in pictures, I'm like straight as a board. Well, eventually I stopped being straight as a board and I fucked up my whole like way I stand. And now I'm 43 and trying to fix that. So the reason why I talked about the breathing is that it has put my nervous system into like this constant fight or flight mode. And I, again, right, I talked about how um I loved chaos, right? And and that's how my body thought like that was comfortable, but I never had that like it was always or crashing down. And when I would crash down, depression would come into the picture, and then that's a complete crash, right? And then um when a circus comes into town, I'm freaking out again. I'm all over the place. And so my nervous system never knew how to relax, you know? Like today I went into the sauna, and I had one headphone in, and then someone came in and I was trying to do some like and I realized I was just like constantly thinking. But then when I got out, I just kind of sat there and I made sure that I paid attention to my breathing and belly, belly, belly. And it helped. And I need to learn how to calm my nervous system down. So it says, how do we do that? Whether it's meditation, journaling, or working a sobriety program, I find something that resonates with me and commit to it. If I can trudge through 5 feet of snow to buy tequila, I can show up to therapy. Yeah. And what's therapy, right? There may be talking to a professional, which I think everyone needs. There's not enough therapists in this world for the mental health load that many of us deal with, male, female, elderly, all adults, children. There's just not enough. And it's important to make sure that we're getting that help. But whether it's a 12-step program, a different recovery program, whether it's picking up the phone and talking to someone who needs to um, get something off their chest, or you need to get something off your chest, picking up the phone and calling that one person. Texting is okay, right? And I'm becoming more aware of how, right? Like I don't mind picking up the phone now, but I remember what it was like in the beginning. And I know a few people in my life that, they're like, calling is like worse than going to the dentist for them. So I have to respect that not everyone has that capability, right? They may not have that capability to do that. I do, but they may not. So being able to know where they're at, I got to put in this work to be the best version of me that I never knew existed. So maybe, first of all, while we're here, while we're on this thing, if you liked what you heard, click that little thumbs up button. Click that. Subscribe if you haven't. And write a comment, if you would, please, about one of these three things: feeling the feels, self-sabotage, or putting in the work. One of those three things, how do you get through feeling the feels? Do you have a story of self-sabotage? Have you been good with not self-sabotaging? And the last is putting in the work, right? How do you rewire your brain and your nervous system to say, hey, I'm not a piece of shit. Hey, fix your posture. Hey, you can dance. How do you rewire your brain? Are you rewiring your brain? Or are you saying, I'm okay with where I am? Right? Because maybe someone is good with where they are. They don't need to rewire. Maybe you can tell us how you rewired. Help this community, right? Let's help each other get to that next level where we can all enjoy each other's company and make this world a better place one day at a time. All right. Take care. Talk soon.